Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Today's Youth. In this episode, we will be meeting with a young man, a successful young man from Nigeria. He will be telling us about his success story. He is a businessman, a business strategist, a financial analyst, and he will be telling us more about his story. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Rilwan Akiawel from Nigeria.
Hi everyone, I would first like to welcome you here in LTV International.
Hello, and thanks for having me. My name is Rilwan Akayawe. I'm from Nigeria, but I'm an African by national. It's a pleasure to always be on Now TV International. This is my fourth time of being here, um, and it's always a pleasure. Now TV is like a family to me, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure also, dear. Rilwan, I would first like to talk about your education. You first started studying microbiology, then you shifted to studying business and finance. Tell me more about this shift. Why was this shift from microbiology, which is more of a scientific field, and shifting into business and finance?
Okay, yes. So I started with a background in sciences, like you rightly said, in microbiology. Um, but after graduation, I looked around me, and also because of a kind of background that I also have, my parents are both entrepreneurs. They have businesses. My father um, has businesses that has failed a lot of times. So that kind of inspired me to want to help small businesses like him, to better position themselves and better run their businesses. So I made that decision after graduation to go into business and learn more about business and build a career in finance and trade and advice in business. And so here I am today.
Right. So then your parents, your family, or your dad was the first one who supported you to start a career in business.
Yes. So my father is a trader. So he trades in raw kidney beans. So he travels around Africa. He goes to Niger Republic, buys raw beans, goes to Sudan, and then brings them to Nigeria. Goes to the other part of Nigeria, the northern part, and then brings it to the other part of Nigeria, the western part of Nigeria that we grew up. So that's what I grew up knowing. And as a kid, I'll follow him to his office, to the market where he sold his things in big bags. And, you know, I I witnessed how he does his transactions, the negotiations, and even as kids, we had access to some small packages of beans that we sold to neighbors and made some money off it. So it was actually the first inspiration that I had as a kid without knowing it then to want to do business. So I saw how he was in charge of his own business, how the ups and the downs. I witnessed the successes he had, and I witnessed some failures that he had to as a business person. And that was the first inspiration and support that I needed as a future entrepreneur.
Right. Well, Rilwan, definitely you faced a lot of obstacles and also a lot of challenges. Would you tell me more how each difficulty you passed through throughout your career so far, which is not a very long career so far because you're still very young. I mean, you graduated like 5 years ago, I think, right?
Yes, so 7 years, I graduated
7 years
years
back.
ago. I've been working for, yes, yes. So
So how
I graduated.
did each difficulty you passed through strengthen you further? Tell me about this.
Okay, so after graduation, I worked with for a while with an NGO that worked with in the northern parts of Nigeria, the parts affected by um, terrorism. So we're doing conflict resolution. We're working with sexual workers and injection drug users. So after that, I worked with KPMG, which is a multinational finance and financial services firm in Nigeria. So as an audit associate, and that was where that was where I sharpened my skills as a finance person. I saw how deals were made. I saw how big businesses built their businesses, how they built their processes and everything. And so after a while, I decided to, go out there and help other small businesses who also have a need for the kind of services that firms like KPMG and Deloitte and the rest of them offer, but don't have the financial capacity to hire big firms like that. So I started a firm, and with a team of other smart young Africans, and we started helping these small businesses to get their accounts straight, to access funding opportunities within Africa and outside of Africa. We help them build business plans and do financial models and the rest of them. So it's a lot of challenges, but I mean the passion to help is what has kept us going.
Mhm. Right. Well, talking more about SMEs or small and medium enterprises and startups, how do you see the significance of SMEs to the youth in Africa? How can this further promote youth and help them to find jobs, creating job opportunities in African states?
Okay, so small businesses in any country or any continent in the world, small businesses keep the economy moving. There is no economy that will survive without small businesses. Any country you want to point at, developed countries, China, USA, small businesses keep the economy moving. They employ the largest number of the population. They also, generate the highest number of revenue for the government and pump the highest number of money into the economy. So Africa is not an exception to that. We need to, as a matter of urgency, empower our youth to, start businesses, to take risks, and we need to also give them access to funding to help them, finance their dreams and finance their businesses. It is important because this continent is the youngest continent on earth. We have a continent of about over 50% young people who are less than 30. So
True.
this is an opportunity. Yes, this is an opportunity in our hands. We utilize because if we empower these youth, it means they will keep these youth off the streets, with
Mhm.
engaging businesses that they can do. They will also help us, in employing more that we Africa produces every year. Millions of Africans graduate from colleges every year, and only a tiny percentage of them of getting white collar jobs or government jobs. So it's small businesses that will help us absorb these um, graduates that we produce every year on the continent.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's very important for every African leader, um, heads of states and presidents and policymakers to empower the youth, to allow them to start businesses. Everyone cannot end up. The reality is staring us in this, because if we fail to do this, what will happen is that those youths will now start, some of them will end up, with bad gangs and being brainwashed and, different ideologies and different things. And we have the result in different parts of Africa where insecurity is the order of the day because these are youth. If you don't engage them positively, they end up being engaged negatively. So
Right.
it's very important.
Yes, very true. Well, as you said, empowering youth in Africa, and this is very important now. Do you think that African states governments are giving enough support to SMEs, startups, new businesses to support those youth and empowering youth, as you said?
Okay, so some African governments are actually doing their best, but more could be done. Um, Nigerian government, for example, has different initiatives to empower young people and finance businesses, but the reality is that more could be done. Also, the Egyptian government, for example, it does the same thing: empower youth, bring youth from different parts of Africa to deliberate on the future of the continent and to share ideas and network. So this is how a continent we built. And also, we're talking about. I was talking about the African president programs like the African Presidential Leadership Program that I was
Mhm.
fortunate to attend in Egypt last year from 2019 to 2020, and also like the World Youth Forum that even brings takes it to a bigger stage of bringing youth from all over the world. So we need to
Mhm.
empower our youth to be able to have meaningful discussions, solve problems themselves. We can't continue to tell the youth that this is how you should do things. We need to let them. We are innovative people. Young people are innovative. We are energetic. We are very smart. We need to be able to empower them to think for themselves and to create solutions to the problems that has been battling this continent for decades.
Mhm. Mhm. How do you can further encourage or support youth and promote youth to find or access funding from within or outside the continent?
Okay, so one of the ways that I believe is already being implemented, uh, and if successful, will help a lot of African small businesses and African youth who want to go into small businesses, is the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AFCFTA. So it's a very good initiative of the African Union to remove barriers in trade within Africa, because this continent is the only continent that doesn't trade with itself. So a lot of money, a lot annually from the continent by African countries trading with other countries apart from Africans. So we export things from China, we export things from Europe. We don't trade within ourselves. With the AFCFTA, those barriers will be removed. African countries will be able to trade more with themselves, and it will really help African young people and African small business owners because it will give them access to new markets. So a small
Mhm.
business, maybe a tech startup in Egypt, will be easy. Will find it will become easy for them to set up in Nigeria. And a small business, a small farmer in Morocco will be able to sell to Egypt, and vice versa. So it will encourage, it will open borders because that's part of the conditions. It will give them access to market. It will give African small businesses access to labor in other countries that where labor may be cheap within Africa. It will also encourage uh, African small businesses there is a raw material for my garment factory in Nigeria, and the cotton is in Egypt. So there is no point trying to import from Egypt and bringing the cotton down to Nigeria. So it will be easier for me to just set up a garment factory in Egypt, employing Egyptians there, then doing all the work, and then we can now bring the made garments to Nigeria for packaging and everything. So it's a lot of things, but it's still a long way to go. And if it's successful, it will really help African young businesses. So there are other initiatives that are currently helping small businesses to access funding within the continent. One of them is the Tony Elumelu Foundation. I encourage a lot of Africans to. It's a free funding, a free grant of $5,000 for African young people. It's targeted at young people of Africa. I was also a beneficiary of the fund in 2017. So it's a free funding. The application opened for this year in January 1st. So also there are other government initiatives and even international initiatives that are brought to Africa for young people and small businesses to access the funding. Young people just need to go to the internet and to access those funds, and if they're eligible, they will definitely get it. But the government needs to also do more. We need to be able to, budget more money for the funding of small businesses in Africa. Every African leader should be able to do this.
Right. Well, you just mentioned a while ago that you attended the African Presidential Leadership Program here in Egypt. Would you tell me more about this experience and how did you benefit from
it? Okay, so the African Presidential Leadership Program is a very good program. I would recommend that, like I said the last time I was on Now TV to discuss the APLP and other African issues. I would recommend every African leader to kind of partner with the Egyptian government to ensure that more young people have access to the program. So the program, it was an eye opener for me personally, and for a lot of us that attended the program. It exposes us to some of the issues that were affecting Africa. Where they started from, the current situation, and how African young people could, help solve those problems. So we were empowered, and all thanks to the Egyptian government for this, spearheaded by the president, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. So it was a fully funded program, and we were, taught by experts from all fields, people that were trained both within the continent and outside the continent, people who have experiences in their respective fields. Were also, taken around Egypt. We visited the big library in Alexandria. We went to the Cairo Museum. We went around. We went to the pharaonic village. We were, steeped and kind of we had a surreal experience of what Egypt was, what Egypt looks like, and what Africa, the beauty of Africa. It's a very fantastic experience that I advise every young people when it opens again to apply for.
Right. Well, Rilwan, you attended very important world events also. You attended the World Economic Forum, and you also attended the World Youth Forum here in Egypt. Tell me more about those experiences and how beneficial they were.
Okay, so the World Youth Forum is a very it was a very an awesome experience for me. I attended the World Youth Forum in Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt,
yes,
both in 2018 and in 2019. So both were very awesome experience because you get to meet a lot of people from all over the world. And what the Egyptian government is doing is fantastic because it gives young people who will end up becoming, heads of state in their different countries, who will become policymakers, help them to have a glance of what Africa looks like as a continent, the opportunities in Africa, and also in Egypt as a country.
Right. Well, Rilwan, you were talking about your experience at the World Youth Forum that was held here in Egypt. You also told that you attended the World Economic Forum. So would you tell me more about this experience?
Okay, so the World Economic Forum agenda for youth. So that is that I help I help contribute, opinion pieces and expert opinions and analysis to the agenda of the World Economic Forum. So it's where a lot of experts bring talk about different issues affecting their regions or from anywhere around the world. So my special my expertise with the World Economic Forum agenda is on FCFTA, the African Continental Trade Area. And what I usually talk about is about how the AFCFTA, long before it was even being effective, how it's going to affect small businesses. What are the challenges that may arise and how can we, on? And it's a very fantastic experience too. So it's a very good resource for anyone looking, for knowledge and expertise.
Right. Well, going back to the World Youth Forum that you've attended here in Egypt, and the fact of how far does a youth gathering, in your opinion, help in exchanging views and experience and creating a bond among youth from different countries, from different states around the world?
Yes. So it's some friends that I made in 2018 when I first attended the World Youth Forum. We are still friends now and business partners. We've collaborated on many projects together. And they're from different parts of the world. Same thing with the edition that I attended in 2019. So what the World Youth Forum does is that it brings you in connection with very smart people who are also doing great things in their own countries. So what the Egyptian government is doing, and it's a very big kudos to them, is that they want to facilitate growth and exchange of ideas, and it's really working because some of the friends that I made in both 2018 and 2019, we've exchanged ideas, we've debated, we've talked about global issues, we've collaborated on projects that involve strategy. Some of them probably when they want to do business in Africa or there's an opportunity for investment in Africa, they reach out to me to say, okay, how can they make this contribution? And it's always a very good relationship, a win-win situation for everyone, for Africa at large. So the World Youth Forum event is a very good opportunity. It's a pace setter, the first of its kind in the continent, and we do hope that it continues.
Right. Well, Rilwan, talking about youth and empowering youth, what would you tell youth about perseverance and persistence to reach one's goals?
Yes. So I would advise youth that perseverance and persistence is very important. So it's not the day that one walks. It's not the day that one walks. A child is born that it starts walking and it starts running. You first learn to crawl, and then you learn to walk, and then you learn to fly. So that's the way it works. So it's very important, especially if you're a small business owner. You'll be knocked down a lot of times. So there are a lot of ups and downs and challenges. But for example, a lot of businesses woke up in 2020 with high hopes and goals for the year. But COVID-19 happened, and a lot of businesses, had a lot of
went down, of course,
paying salaries, yes, and a lot of businesses had to fold up. But that's the way it is everywhere in the world. So as entrepreneurs, as young people, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you even want to, pursue a career in another field entirely, persistence and patience and perseverance is very important because there will be ups and downs. That's very certain. There will be ups and there will be downs. But you know, when you keep at it, you get there one day.
Right. What do you think is the role of youth towards their countries in order to achieve sustainable development in African states?
Okay, so the role of youth is very critical. Like I said, it cannot be overemphasized. The young people of this continent, especially, are what is keeping it going. So we are we are the tech startup founders. We are the small business owners. The young people are the barbers. They are the hairdressers. They are the ones, selling. They are the e-commerce experts. Um, we are everywhere. Young people are the masons, the bricklayers. They are the plumbers. You know, it, it's very important to empower these young people. Their roles, their roles in building the continent or building any country cannot be overemphasized. They bring the money to the pockets of the government in the form of tax and in form of even bringing paying the salaries, employing other young people. They also attract foreign direct investment. So in 2020, despite the lockdown, the COVID, and everything, a lot of African tech startups still were able to raise millions of dollars in investment funding from outside the continent. So, and that's what growth is all about. So, if small businesses are empowered to and positioned in such a way that they are attractive for every high foreign investment from foreign investors, it's it's a win-win for everyone. The investors benefit because the market is here. Africa has the market. We have the purchasing power. The market is here. The talent is here. And the environment is also good. Africa has a very good weather. And so it's also a win-win for the country and also a win-win for the entrepreneurs, the young people themselves. So it's very important that we empower these young people um, to be able to operate at their optimum and so that they will be able to move the country.
Well, Rilwan, you mentioned the African Free Trade Agreement. How far do you think the AFTA or the African Free Trade Agreement would further strengthen or facilitate intra-African trade or, trade among African countries?
Yes, so the African Free Trade Agreement will have some other agreements under it to that has been signed by almost all the African presidents and heads of state. One of which is to open borders and remove restriction in movement. What that means is that money can move freely within the African continent from one country to the other, and also labor can move from one African country to the other, so that it becomes easy for an Egyptian to come to Nigeria and get a job if he's qualified for it. The same way it's easy for a Nigerian to get a job. So it also makes it boosts intra-African trade. Uh, Over $86 billion is lost annually by Africans to 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 um, to trade outside the continent. According to African Export-Import Bank, headquartered in Egypt, in Cairo, there, African Bank, the AFCFTA will help Africa as a continent gain over $86 billion
Hmm. Right.
in intra-African trade alone. That means instead of an Egyptian company, yes, to go buy something in Europe that's actually in Nigeria, they can get it in Nigeria instead of Ghanaian company to go buy something in China that they can actually get in Tunisia or in South Africa. It becomes easier to trade within the continent. So it also increases the unity of Africa as a continent. This AFCFTA makes Africa it's the largest free trade area in the world currently.
Well, Rilwan Akiol from Nigeria, I would like to thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you here on Nile TV International.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure for being on Now TV International. It's also a pleasure to always be in Egypt. I tell my friends that Egypt is my second home. I love Egypt so much. I love Egyptians. I have a lot of Egyptians as friends and business associates. Thanks for having me.
Well, dear viewers, that was Rilwan Akiwel from Nigeria, another success story in our program. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back with a new success story. Thank you for joining us.